Good morning. Good morning. Where do I look? I'm in my car, so I'm landscape mode. Phone in the steering wheel. I know it's so safe. So this is a reflection on lesson 318 in A Course in Miracles, and it says, in me, salvation's ends and means are one. I think that's what it says. In me, salvation's means and ends are one. Lesson 318. All of what this pointed to for me was how a lot of times we feel divided inside. And this was pointing to how can you truly be divided when basically we came into this world totally unified. I was going to say in purpose, but really our purpose is just to be. So there was this was before separation entered into us. So we were just a sweet little innocent baby. And I think this does talk about innocence and the word sinlessness. That word was used in this lesson. So I think it says, just recognize that you're still a pure, innocent, unified being. And anywhere we feel divided is really false. It's an illusion. It's the source of suffering. All the things this book always talks about, how thoughts really are what keep us feeling divided inside. So it's maybe the divided is my thoughts versus my actions versus my feelings. Things don't feel aligned or cohesive or unified. I have a leaky eye today. Don't you hate that? Do you ever, and you think, oh, it'll stop any day now. No, it's been 2 hours. So I gotta keep drinking more water. I'm losing so much liquid out this eye. So what came to me was that phrase that I heard somebody else say that really resonated with me is when I go through life feeling like I have one foot on the gas and one foot on the brake. Something in me feels not aligned, feels divided. That's the energy of going forward but holding back, going toward but holding back. Something in me is holding back or trying to keep things at a distance, maybe because there's so much going on or it's overwhelming. Or I'm trying to make sense of things, or I just don't feel in my authenticity that I can fully engage with the present moment because my mind is always thinking about the future, the past, or it just hasn't felt settled. This idea of settling is coming to me. Settled means to me, if my mind's in a million different places, where can I feel like I'm just here right now, taking in my surroundings, taking things as they come, and not worrying about what should I be thinking about, what do I need to plan for, what are my to-do lists, all of the things that keep us in our heads, instead of just turning the brain off and just saying, I just want to exist. I just want to settle. I want to let all that settle and just feel. And so that's what this is, the means and the ends. When those feel like separate things, or that you're even thinking about the means to an end. An end doesn't really exist in the true reality. All we have is now. There is literally no such thing as a future. That word points to a thought about something that might come about in a future present experience, that is outside of this moment right here. Well, all we have is this moment right here, and this one, and this one. And so it made me think about how just the way we are raised in this linear time construct of imagination, because it's all imagination, that we have this solid thing called a past, that we have this solid thing called a future. How could something unknown be solid? How can something like that future, like it's not real? And yet that's what I mean about two different states. Like I have me right now and all the sensations I'm feeling and what's coming up right now, thoughts, feelings, emotions, vibrations, sensation, all that stuff. And then the mind is over here going, it has its own sense of a self, it has its own sense of some other points in this imaginary linear time construct of past and future. Oh, the leaves are falling, it's so pretty. So it made me think how just the way we're raised in this world, it innately brings about this sense of separation within us, and how we feel like there's an end, like say some future point, an end of like a project, an end of life, an end of a phase of life, whatever that is, like some point in time out there separate from now. And the means are the things we're doing moment by moment that get us to that imaginary point. And all of that language is very problematic for keeping this idea of a self locked in time as a seemingly solid thing. And it's not. It's just not. So that's what this lesson all brought up for me, is just really pointing to how separation is kind of what we're born into, and we adopt it as a way to, we think it's necessary in order to relate to each other, in order to be moving through this world of like, oh, I gotta go through school, I've gotta get a job, I gotta make a living, all the things like we feel like we have to do in life feels like it's locked in time. Like thinking about a future, well, I've gotta do this so that I can have that at some point, right? There's this now versus later, and innately that feels like separation, like that later is not here with me, but it's imaginary, and it keeps us all like angsty. So what this lesson is pointing to is just remember that we are a unified being, that we don't have to have one foot on the brake and one foot on the gas. We don't even have to be in a vehicle. Like we don't have to have this feeling like we're going somewhere or that we're doing anything. We can just be. Take it all in, take it all in. What other goal or end in the verbiage of this lesson, what other end is there? That when people say the purpose of life is to live, doesn't that seem too simple for our human brains? It's like, no, but we gotta do stuff. Like, how could you just say that? How could you just do nothing? And then we get all judgy about people who try to do nothing in life in terms of like keeping on the hamster wheel of whatever. And then we judge them as being like, you're not contributing. But that just points back to our own like, what if I get off the hamster wheel? What would happen? That's scary. Okay, I don't want to think about it, so I'm just going to shame everybody else who's like opting out of traditional ways of doing things. So that's something that it made me think of also. This map is wonky. I'm going to use my intuition. We'll see if I make it there. So anyway, that's what this lesson made me think of. I love it. It's good. I feel like I'm just scratching the surface of that, because it really points to an entire world, an entire way of being in this non-dual state, non-separated state, moment by moment. And it's really what it makes me think of is like words are part of the problem. it's like just because words are trying to make sounds, make your thoughts turn into sounds to communicate some idea, right? Which could be a pointer to a thing, but oftentimes it keeps like feeling like things are getting farther apart the more we try to describe them. So it's like, because it is such an individual felt experience of like being in this moment. I don't even like to use the word moment because that has a connotation of time, linear time. So it's like, just to me, what I feel like I'm getting close to, like it's so close, this idea that all of it is slipping away, all of the constructs. That's what I've been trying to allow to happen. The word trying is kind of funny. Try to allow something means I don't want to try too hard, and when I feel myself trying too hard, I'm like, I just gotta, that's like a holding on, that's perpetuating separation when I try to have a practice of something. So it's like really just fluctuating between trying and allowing. And I think that came up in a reading recently. So anyway, like just being without the overlay of linear time and expectation and ends and means and means and ends, and just trying to feel into that unified self. And it really is just a continual coming back to the feeling into, because that's really where the juice is. And then the mind gets a hold of something and tries to make it into a concept and be like, yeah, let's put some structure around it and a practice like meditation. And I'm not saying meditation's bad. That's a form of just turning the mind off or loose and feeling. But once it becomes like, oh, I need it, then it might become problematic. So that's why I'm like, use the tool and let it go. Use the tool, let it go. And that's a form of allowing. So anyway, I'll just stop there because I feel like I'm still just scratching the surface. Because if I go deeper, it means shutting my mouth and just sitting and feeling. Can't do that on a video, or I could. So I'm heading to my great aunt's house for a monthly cooking club. I love it so much. So it's a family cooking club that we started because one member of the family, this is like extended family, so it's like sometimes I see my sister, but usually it's like cousins and aunts and great uncles and second cousins, and I just love it because we don't get a chance to get together that much anymore. And so we started getting together to cook whatever, because one of the members wanted to, he's retired now, so he thought, oh, I want to learn how to cook. And years ago, my family put together a cookbook of all the family recipes. Like anyone in the family could submit a recipe, and they bound it into this book, and it's just such a great family thing. Because I've never been one that had this sense of like deep family traditions. And so I was reflecting on that this morning, that it's like, aw, we created one. And now the younger cousins, and hopefully they can keep it going if they want. And it's so fun. And so like I'm getting to learn my family as adults versus me as a kid when I spent more time with them. And everyone was like 30 years younger or 40 years younger. And now I get to know them and appreciate them as adults. And it's just a whole different thing. So today we're making, and none of this is healthy. Oh my God, none of it is healthy, because my great aunts love to cook the unhealthiest goodies ever, like cinnamon rolls and apple dumplings and English toffee, and today I think there's like fudge, peanut butter fudge, and ham and sausage croissants, and with like probably a shit ton of cheese. And I was like, what ingredients can I bring, and they're like, bring chips. I'm like, okay, to go along with the meal, like the healthiest thing. So I brought really unhealthy chips. So, but if you're doing this once a month, I figure what the hell, just throw the eating out of the window for one day. But let's be honest, last night I had pizza rolls. I craved them, I couldn't help it. So anyway, I felt like a teenager again. I was like, I'm gonna go home on a Friday night and have some pizza rolls. I tried to get the healthier version, but that doesn't count. They're not healthy at all. So I'm just jabbing. I gotta go. I'm almost there. Thanks for watching.